Welcome back to No Nonsense Reviews and How-Tos. Today I'm going to show you how to blur out sections of video in Adobe Premiere Pro CS6. Now I must tell you that if you still have CS6 and you don't have one of the CC versions, it is a lot more complicated in this version than it is in CC. So if you have CS6, this is the video for you. Let's get started. So let's say I wanted to blur out these top two sections of film roll here in this video, and I want to keep them blurred out while I'm moving it around like this. And then let's say I want to blur out this section down here that I just circled. Here's how we're going to do it. One of the first things you want to do is make a duplicate of video 1. So you're going to do that by clicking on the video, holding Alt, and just dragging it up to video 2, and that will make a duplicate. So I'm going to go into Effects. I'm going to type in Blur. It's going to bring up this menu. I'm going to drag Gaussian blur over to the section of video, and I can customize how blurry I want it right here. So once I've made it as blurry as I want, I'm going to click Control T, and I'm going to name this Blur 1. It'll bring up this box, and I just want to try and eyeball the section that I want to blur out here using this square tool. Once I've done that, I can close the box. Go back here, and as you can see, it made this new layer. I just drag it into video 3, and it sort of made everything blurry. So to fix this, I'm going to go into Effects. I'm going to type in Track Matte. I'm going to drag Track Matte key into my video 2 section, my duplicate. And then I'm going to go up here and switch this to video 3, where my blur is. And as you can see, it blurred out the section that I want. And I'm just going to adjust it a little bit here. And it's been blurred. So I can go back into here anytime, double click, and I can adjust how big or small the blurred section is. You can do that anytime. So let's play and see what happens. So this section is blurry, and when I move it, you will see that the blur does not move with it. The blur stays where it is. So how do we fix that? So I want to find the exact frame in which the blur becomes separated. So it looks like it's right here. And then I'm going to crop down my blur layer so it ends right where the blur moves. From here, I'm going to press Control T. It's going to bring up this new title. I'm going to call this Blur 2. And I'm going to follow the same process that I did earlier. I'm going to kind of eyeball where this blur is, and then I'll make the adjustments after. So we've got that done. Let's close it. As you can see, it's brought up Blur 2. Then I want to click on Motion. Make sure you click on Position. And if I double click the blur here, I can move it around wherever I want. And when we go to the next frame, same thing. I'm going to move it over. Next frame, move it over. And as you can see, it's starting to put all these little black dots all over my screen, and that's where it's tracking all of these moves in Blur 2. I'm going to fast forward through this a bit because this lasts for a while, and we'll regroup once that's done. At this stage, the part that I want to blur out starts moving vertically. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to crop my Blur 2 section, and we're going to see how this worked out. So let's rewind here. Let's press play and see what happens. So as I start moving the video around, you can see the blur kind of doesn't match up all the way. It comes out of focus once in a while, or it goes in focus, I should say. And I want to fix that. I want this whole thing to be blurred all the time. So again, I'm going to find where the sections aren't aligned, double click, and just move it along. And as you can see, it's going to add more of these black dots all over the screen. And it's going to hopefully fix this issue. So there we go. Let's rewind it a bit, press play, and see what happens. Perfect. So All the sections are blurry now with no clear sections. This is exactly what I wanted. So now where my blurred section starts to move vertically, I want to find the exact frame where it starts to go down. Looks like it's right here. So now that I've found that frame, it's Control T again. I'm going to call this title Blur 3. Okay. We've done this before. I'm going to try and eyeball it here, and I can always make adjustments later. So we'll just put it over top, press X, double click, drag it over, and it's a little bigger than I wanted it to be. So I'm going to fix that. So let's double click on Blur 3 over here. I'm just going to shrink this a little bit so it's more in line with the two sections that I want blurred. That looks good. So let's close that up. Again, I'm going to go into Effect Controls, click on Motion, make sure that I click on Position here. I'm also going to click on Scale. I want to make sure that Uniform Scale is off, so I'm going to uncheck this. And now I can customize the size of my blur here. So I'm just going to make sure that the sections that I want blurred stay blurred by making the adjustments here in the top left, frame by frame. So let's go to the next frame. Looks okay. Next frame, make another adjustment. And this is where I utilize the scale. So I don't need the box to be as big anymore because I'm scrolling down and the parts that I want blurred are being cut off. So I'm going to continue this process for a while. I'm going to fast forward through it, and we'll regroup when I'm ready to move on to the next section that I want blurred. At this point, the first section that I wanted blurred is going out of frame, and the next section I want blurred is coming into frame. So I want to find that exact frame where the transition happens. It looks like it's right here. So I'm going to follow the same steps that I did before. Control T again. I'm going to name this one. Click OK. Again, follow the same thing. So I want to start blurring out this bottom section here. So I'm going to put the box over top of it. Click X. Double click, bring it over, or just single click and bring it over, crop it down. I'm going to double click on it here, move it to where I want it to be. Click on Position, click on Scale, and keep following the frame. So it looks good. Next frame starts to move, so I'm going to fix this. And I'm going to fast forward through here as well because we've been through this before, and see what it looks like at the end. Alright, now that I'm done blurring out all the sections, let's play it back and see what the whole thing looks like. Everything blurred out perfectly, so thanks for watching.